Hello. Hi there. How are you today? Today we're talking about how to delegate effectively and when the right time is to delegate in your business. So whatever stage you're at, whether you are still in the solo stage or you're kind of thinking about and preparing to hire your first team member, or if you've already started building your team, there's going to be so much great stuff in this video for you. So whatever stage you're in, stick around, and we are gonna get into how your systems help you all the way across the board. So I'm really excited about this topic. Welcome. If you're watching, say hello in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from, and tell me what stage of business you're in. Are you still solopreneur wearing all the hats? Have you hired a contractor in the past? Are you working with team members now? I'd love to hear where you're at in that journey. So today is an all right day here. We've had some unseasonably warm weather and had a really gorgeous, beautiful sunny day yesterday, and also gearing up for a 4-day weekend with the kids home. So it's one of those times where we're adjusting the regular plan, the regular flow, carving out some more time for family time that might sometimes be more work time or time for me. So getting ready to spend a little extra time with my kiddos this weekend. Let me know if you have extra days off too. And let's dive in. So it really kind of comes down to this question, right? Like, what comes first, the systems or the team? It can kind of feel like a chicken or the egg situation. And I will make the argument today that the systems absolutely should come first in that process. And I'm going to walk you through why and also how to make that happen. So I think there's a common mistake or a misconception that if you're struggling with an area of your business, if it's feeling messy, you can just hire someone and they'll solve the problem for you. And that's not entirely untrue, but I think it's a little bit of a misguided approach, because especially when it comes to the behind the scenes, the doing of your business, if you're not clear on your strategy, your goals, your values, someone else coming in is not going to fix that problem for you. And you also don't really want to be handing over control of a huge part of your business to someone and be really hands-off. So one of these areas might be hiring someone to help you with your social media, because I think we have all felt a little overwhelmed at some point or another to be creating content, creating it in the right format, with the right topics, posting it to the right places at the right times. And there is strategy to that, and there's also the actual hands-on doing of that, right? But if you're bringing someone on to help you, you should have a pretty clear sense of what your goals are and how you like to operate before that happens. And so that's where, as we go through here, the systems are going to kind of come into play today. So I just want to share a little bit of my own experience with this, because as you might know, I have spent the last 3 years of my business working as a virtual assistant, and it was so surprising to me, especially when I was first starting out and when I was getting on those first discovery calls with potential clients, that people would come to a call with me. They would say that they're looking for a virtual assistant, but they didn't actually have a clue what they wanted me to help them with or what they needed help with, right? They were coming to me because they were overwhelmed. They couldn't do it all. They couldn't keep up with it, but they didn't know where help would be the most beneficial for them. So that's what we would do on those calls, is I would filter through, okay, what are you working on? What's feeling heavy? You know, we would get to the bottom of what they actually needed help with. And sometimes it took a while. Some of those first calls were a little bit longer than I really intended them to be. But the takeaway was that you know, people don't always know what they need, but if you want the help that's going to be the most impactful for you, you have to be clear on what you're asking for, right? So that is one of the biggest reasons to me why you want to have systems and processes in place before you get ready to hire someone. We're going to go a little bit deeper into the different ways you can use your systems in that process in a little while here. I also just want to touch on the fact that not every contractor, service provider, team member that you work with is going to be a systems expert. Just because someone is a content creator doesn't mean that they necessarily have their own process in place. If they've been doing it for a while, they probably have. But not everyone is going to come in expecting to create that structure for you. And even if they do, you need to understand how all that behind the scenes stuff is working, because you're still the CEO of your business. You're still the one running the show, and they are helping you with this part over here that they are an expert at, right? So if we back up a little bit, let's talk about the when. When is it the right time to start delegating in your business? And this answer is going to be a little bit different for everyone. Some of the times that you might think about delegating are, you know, one of those big questions that we ask when we're going through processes. If there's a step in our process, we can ask every time, is this something that needs to be done by me? And if the answer is no, you might want to look into automating or delegating that piece. So if you're coming up on a lot of those things where you're like, well, I don't need to be the one doing this, I don't need to be the one doing this, and you're seeing that there's a lot of stuff that you potentially could outsource, you might want to start thinking about it. Obviously, your budget is going to come into play, the amount of time that you have to work versus the amount of stuff you have to do in that time is going to come into play. But I want to offer the idea that if you address the root cause of the overwhelm and the busyness and the stress, if you figure out what pieces of the business are feeling heavy and messy, and you address those and get those systems in place, you might find that you can actually handle it on your own a little bit longer. When those pieces start to flow more smoothly and feel a little bit lighter, you might realize that you don't actually need someone else right now. Like, you're cool, you've got it under control. And then when you are ready to hire, or even if you have it under control but you don't necessarily want to be the one doing it anymore, right? That's a totally valid reason to delegate in your business, is to hand off the things that don't fulfill you, to conserve your energy, conserve the zest that you have for the rest of your business. When you are ready to hire out, having your systems and processes already lined out are going to make it so much easier. And there are three main ways that that can happen. So the first, which I sort of touched on when I was talking about my experience with potential VA clients, is when you go through and you're seeing those areas you can delegate, it becomes way more clear to you what you actually need help with. And when you know what help you need, you can be really clear on who you are looking for to bring onto your team, right? So some virtual assistants, I am a huge advocate of a VA being your first team member, because most VAs can offer a pretty wide skill set and support you in a lot of different areas of your business. But if you're looking for something specific, that's going to become clear when you go through your process. You're going to see which areas are taking up a lot of your time. Is it your podcast? Is it creating graphics? Is it scheduling emails and social media posts and all of that? When you can get clear on those big buckets of tasks that you need help with, it becomes way easier to look for the right person for your team, right? Because if you're posting to a group, or you're just kind of letting people in your network know, hey, I'm looking to hire someone, you can tell them exactly what you need and exactly who you want. And so then when you start getting responses come in, when you start having people interested in working with you and you're starting to get on discovery calls with people, they're already sort of pre-filtered, right? They already know what you're looking for, and they've self-selected as, oh, hey, that's something that I'm really good at. That's my area of expertise. I'm going to reach out to this person. So it's going to make even that first step so much smoother. You're going to save yourself time because you're not going to be getting on calls with people who do something completely different from what you need help with. Or you're not going to be getting on calls with people and realizing that you don't even know what to ask for, and then in the end, they're not really a fit for you, right? You're going to have a better chance of connecting with people who are a good fit right from the beginning. And the next part of that is, as you're talking to those candidates and making your decisions, you'll know what questions to ask. You'll have an idea of what platforms you want to use, or if you haven't chosen, let's say, an email provider or a project management platform, but you know you need one, you can talk to someone about that in the discovery call and say, hey, is there a specific platform that you recommend, that you like to work with? And you can start building that and filling in some of those blanks before you even make the hire. And then the final step, which is so huge, is making the onboarding and transition of that new team member so much smoother and easier. Because here's what happens. When you create your system or your process, you're going to document it. We often call that an SOP, or your standard operating procedure. It's going to be in a Google Doc or in your project management platform like Trello or ClickUp or whatever. You're going to have written out super clearly what the steps are of the process. You're going to link to any files. You're going to link to any platforms that are needed to complete that process. And so not only is that the documentation of your process, but you can use it like a job description. You can use it as a training guide, right? So let's say you have a weekly podcast that goes out and you've outlined the steps. You make your outline or your notes, you record it, it goes to editing, you put it up on whatever your podcast platform is, you create show notes, you create a blog post, you have these all listed out. And so when this person comes on to help you, you can just virtually hand it over and say, okay, here's the process. Let me know if you have any questions as you're going through. Let me know if you have any ideas to improve it or suggestions. And instead of starting from zero and you having to walk them through something, you have a document that you can give them that they can use as their own guide. And it saves both of you, not just you, but your new team member, so much time and energy, and makes it just a more enjoyable process. Just like you're hiring someone because you're probably already stressed out and overwhelmed, trying to train in a new team member, just the idea of that would stop a lot of people from hiring someone in the first place, even though they know that long term it's going to be super helpful. Same thing, like when you have a team member come on, they want to be able to get to work. They want to be able to get in there, do what they're here to do, support you the best way they can, and the more information they have available to them, it makes it so much easier for them to do their job. So they're going to enjoy working with you more, and you're going to see the benefits and the impact of having them as a member of your team faster than if you're starting from zero when they come on. So the other thing that I wanted to kind of touch on were some of the tools that I have found are super helpful when you are starting to work with a team. So this is like a little bit of bonus info, but these are some of the things that kind of allow you to automate some of this or just streamline it, right? Make it more efficient, make it simpler, make it easier. And these are tools that I use literally every single day. So the first, and I will say, I am affiliates for some of these. I think maybe only Trello on this list, but not going to drop any links or anything anyway. But the first thing I would recommend is LastPass. This is a software, and all of these also you can use free versions of. LastPass is a place where you can store your passwords so that, number one, you can use them and you can stop having to type your password in and remember what it is every time you log into all your different platforms. But also, when you have a team member come on, you can share with them access to your login information, and they can log in places that they need to get their work done without actually ever seeing your username and your password. And LastPass also does like a ton of security stuff to keep all of your passwords and that safe. They'll let you know if you should change a password or if they have suggestions to make your account more secure. It's a really, really great tool. The other one is Loom, and Loom is a video tool where you can record your screen, your voice. You can have your face in a little bubble down in the bottom if you want to. And this is amazing when you're working with a team because, for example, let's go back to the podcast example. If you want to show someone how to set up like a blog post for your podcast, all you have to do is turn your Loom on, do the process yourself, and then it records it. And the other person can just watch it. You don't have to like schedule a meeting and share your screen and do it all in real time. You don't have to spend a bunch of time trying to type it out and make it look super nice. You can just be like, this is how I do it. Here you go. It's amazing. And I also love it, love it, love it for giving and receiving feedback on projects. You can go in and show someone what you've done. Your team member can go in and say, hey, this is what I've created so far. I'd love your feedback on this section, or I have a question about this section. It's amazing. I love it so much. I use it all the time. Another tool is going to be some kind of a project management tool. Now, I love Trello. I talk about it all the time. It is what I recommend to people, especially if you're not super techie, because I think it's really easy to get started with. It's super visual. But you can also use, ClickUp or Dubsado or Monday, Asana. There are a million different project management tools out there. But this is a wonderful place for all of your processes, all that documentation to live. You can link documents and pictures and Google Drive folders and all of these things all in the same place. And then you can share that board with a team member to make sure that you are both looking at the same information. It's all in one place. You can send each other messages through the platform. It's really, really amazing. And to me, that is one of the foundational pieces of systems in your business, is having some kind of project management tool where you can have everything you need together. And there's the similar purpose, or the linkage to that, is Google Drive. Like, we all have Google Drive, I know, but being able to, again, have all the pieces that you need organized and in one place, and being able to share specific folders or files with members of your team is invaluable. Being able to work on the same version of a document instead of having, your version here and your VA's version here, and then maybe you are collaborating with someone and they have a different version here. No. We're going to all work on the same one. We're going to leave each other comments, assign tasks, all of those wonderful things in Google Drive. So those are my top 4. I'm sure there are more, but these are the ones that immediately came to mind that I use every single day. And they're LastPass, Loom, Trello, or some other project management tool, and Google Drive. Those combined are going to create such a strong foundation and just a communication system with you and any team members that you're working with to make sure you're on the same page. Everyone is connected, right? You want to be working as a unit, not as two separate individuals. So those are my recommendations for that. That about wraps it up for today. Just to recap, whatever stage of business you're in, whether you're ready to hire yet or not, whether you maybe already have some contractors or team members working for you, getting your systems in place right up front makes the whole rest of the experience smoother. It lets you know what kind of help you need. It helps you match up with the right people when you're ready to hire a team member. And then when they come on board, it makes that transition and onboarding experience so much more enjoyable and so much smoother for you and for them. It really sets the tone for your time working together, and for that tone to be one of clear communication, organization, and being clear on what people's roles are and where they fit into the bigger picture. And so I hope that you found this helpful. If you are ready to get started with your own systems, I would love to talk to you about it. There are a lot of different systems we can use to support your business, but what I'm the most interested in is finding out which areas will be the most beneficial to you right away. Which system, if we set it up in the next couple of weeks, would create a huge shift in your business? Because what happens is once we set up an impactful system that creates that shift, it frees up time and energy to keep going. Like, it builds on itself, it builds momentum over time until in the end you're left with a business that feels more spacious, more open, less stressful and overwhelming. You're holding so much less in your own mind because you've created a safe place for it to live outside of your brain. And the really fun part to me is that I not only work with you on your business systems, but I help you create systems and rhythms for your home life as well. Because as moms with businesses, there are a lot of different parts going on. We're juggling a lot of things. And not only do we want all the different aspects of our life and business to run smoothly and feel like we're not just constantly putting out fires and trying to remember things and carry it all around with us, but we also want to create some time for ourselves and the things that we love to do as a family, that we love to do on our own or with our friends, the things that bring us joy and fulfillment. We want to make sure that we have the time and energy for those things as well. So I would love to help you do that. There's a link in the comments where you can book a free 45-minute systems strategy session with me. And during that time, we really just talk about where things are feeling the heaviest and the most overwhelming, and we kind of zero in on one priority area and start brainstorming about how we could make that feel a little smoother and easier for you. So I would love to talk with you. Grab a spot on my calendar, and I will see you back here next week. I'm actually going to be changing the weekly lives from Thursday afternoons to Tuesday. So keep an eye on that. I'll be updating the times in the events, and I will see you next time. Bye.